house, it would be great to get any of those. So vetiver, ylang ylang, lavender, marjoram, frankincense, or spearmint, or labandum. And if not, it's okay. Okay. So we're just going to start off with a meditation focusing on peace. And Sean, if you could just mute yourself, because I'm going to record this. I woke up this morning with a terrible dream, and I never have terrible dreams. So it really kind of rocked me and took me a while to really shake it off. And so I automatically grabbed a blend from dōTERRA called Peace, and it has those oils in there. So when we're using aromatherapy, especially for emotions, it's great to put the oil right on the big toe, because that stimulates the reflexology point that stimulates the brain. And you can also put it on the soles of your feet. And when we put essential oils on the soles of our feet, they are absorbed into the bloodstream within 2 to 20 minutes. And for emotional aromatherapy, you can put it on the pulse points of your wrists, your neck. I like to roll it over my heart center, making a form of a heart. And then also the base of your brainstem. And so there's been a lot of turbulence going on in the world, and I've been hearing a lot of traumatic things from many of my friends. So it's kind of weird energy right now, but we know that the full moon was just yesterday, and I have a friend who works in the ER. He's a doctor, and he was saying literally every time that there's a full moon, they have way more patience, way more craziness. And, the moon really does affect us. So I got to watch the full moon rise yesterday here in Florida, and it was just so beautiful. And, but it can also bring a lot of intensity. So traditionally we have a tendency to be a little bit more mellow in our yoga practice around moon days, full and new moon. So today we're just going to find a comfortable seat and breathe in this oil, or just imagine that you are rooting into a forest in the Pacific Northwest among those huge trees. And anytime we go into nature and into the forest, it really creates feelings of calm and groundedness and stability. So we're going to focus on those qualities today as we invoke peace into our hearts. And I just want to dedicate our practice this morning to creating more peace and harmony, not only within our own hearts, but into the hearts and minds of everyone else around us. So we'll begin with a peace prayer, a Shanti Padana. And the literal translation means, let our practice lead us from the untruth to the truth, from the darkness into the light, and from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. And it sounds like this. Asatoma satgamaya, tamasoma jyotirgamaya, mrityorma amritam gamaya. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Just taking a moment to set your own intention for your practice. Letting our intention and our love radiate from our heart out into the hearts of others. And on an exhale, whenever you feel ready, just releasing the hands face down or palms down on your knees or your thighs, and sitting up tall as you breathe into all the natural curves of the spine, and really rooting down into your feet as we send our energetic roots into the sacred mother to us all, Gaia, Mother Earth. And establishing the rhythm of Ujjayi Pranayama as we begin to transition our natural breath to the rhythm of Ujjayi breath, where we balance the length of the inhalation to the length of the exhalation so that they're even in time, to create a sense of equanimity in the energy that we take in on the inhalation and the energy that we're putting out on the exhale. Remembering that if our inhalation is shorter than the exhale, we're putting out more energy and depleting. And if our inhalation is longer than the exhale, then we're taking in more energy than we're putting out. But for our yoga practice, we want to create that sama breathing, that balanced breath. Listening to the sound of the breath as you begin to narrow the passageway in the back of the throat. So if you're sipping the breath through a straw and consciously drawing it in to fill your lungs from the bottom to the top on the inhalation, the slight pause or kumbhaka, or breath retention, just for a second or two or a few. And then exhaling all that breath out to the equal count of the inhalation. And a slight pause at the bottom of that exhale. And just taking that time to develop that breathing rhythm so that we begin to relax our nervous system and move out of fight and flight and into rest and digest. Finding that rhythm that we can maintain throughout the duration of this hour-long class. And then we'll open the eyes as we're ready, turning the palms up and reaching them out by the sides as you extend the arms, lifting from the base of the heart. And on an inhalation, reach those arms up overhead. Interlace the fingers together, turn the palms up toward the sky. Hug the arm bones in by the ears and see if you can move them back behind the plumb line of the ears any amount, if you're able to, without letting the shoulders move up toward the sky. So let the neck be nice and long as you extend the arms right out of the sit bones. And as you exhale, side bend to the right, stretching the left side of the torso, keeping that left sit bone grounded. And as we inhale, come back to the center and use the exhaling breath to extend to the left. And take a breath or two here. When we inhale, come back up. Keep the left arm lifted as we bring the right hand to the floor and begin to walk that right hand away from you a little bit as you begin to continue that side bend, maybe bending that right elbow and arcing the arm out over the ear. But imagine that you're leaning against a wall so that you're not leaning forward, but it's a true side bend. Maybe bring the elbow to the earth if that feels appropriate for you without overstretching. So don't overdo it or let that sit bone become disconnected from the earth. Deep breathe. And as we inhale, slowly come all the way back up, turning the left palm away from the midline and letting that arm float down toward the earth like a feather, moving toward the ground. And then we'll do the same thing on the opposite side. We're going to inhale the right arm up, keeping that right shoulder relaxed. walking the left hand out to the left as you begin to lean and reach, just keeping a gentle bend in the elbow at first. And over time, as you breathe and begin to open the side of the torso, perhaps that left elbow can move toward the earth as well. It doesn't necessarily have to ground down or touch, but we're just doing what we can without forcing. Letting the breath flow. Breathing a deep sense of peace into our hearts, our minds, our souls. And we're going to inhale, come all the way on up. And as you exhale, bring the feet to the ground, hands behind you, fingertips pointing toward the body. Extend through the arms as you open the chest. And then as we inhale, lift the hips up into a tabletop position, relaxing the head back, as if you're creating a coffee table shape through the body. Really opening the shoulders, the chest, throat, belly, hips, and thighs. Firmly pressing the feet into the ground. And then exhale, slowly come down. Turn the hands in the opposite direction away from you, pointing toward the back side of the mat. We're going to take that right arm and thread it over the horizon line. And as you inhale, lift the hips up and reach back, looking toward that right hand. And exhale, slowly come down, grounding that right hand. Check your feet for balance. Make sure the feet and the knees don't get a little wonky. And we're going to do the same thing on the opposite side. Inhaling that left arm up and over, looking toward that left hand. Deep breathing here. And exhale as you return to the earth. One more time each side, moving with your own breath. And when you return down, hands to the knees and awaken the spine. As you inhale, draw the body through the legs. Let the chin move toward the chest as you round the spine. And as you exhale, keep that rounding as you snug the belly in and extend the arms back. Moving with your breath. Inhaling to come forward. And exhale to round. Few more times with your own rhythm. Finding your range of motion as you draw the energy up from your root right on through the crown. Clearing the channels with the breath, with this movement, and finding a sense of expansiveness and mobility in your spine. And when you are in this exhaling position, keep the arms nice and long, taking the bend out of the elbows. Walk the feet and the knees together. Bring the hands underneath the knees. And we're going to inhale. Take any rounding out of the spine as you lift from the base of the heart, keeping the chin neutral to the ground. And as you inhale, move into a variation of Navasana, keeping the toes approximately level with the eyes. We move into our boat pose. If this feels quite easy for you, then add the extension of the arms, but try not to pull the arm bones forward. Plug the shoulders in toward the humerus bones in toward the socket joint. And if this feels okay, see if you can extend your legs without rounding the back as you lift the toes approximately level with your eyes. Deep breathe. And as you exhale, slowly lower your boat into a canoe shape. And then we're going to inhale and come up. Exhale, relax down. Moving with your breath. Inhale to come up. Exhale, release. Inhale, come back up. Bring the feet to the floor. Round your back. Hug your arms around your legs and see if you can bring your forehead toward your knees. And deep breathe into this curling in. And then as you inhale, extend the spine nice and tall. Try to keep the feet and knees grounded, feet to the floor, knees together. And we're going to inhale, extend the arms, and deep breathe. Then bring the arms forward, palms toward each other. Inhaling, reaching the arms up, and see if you can separate the knees and just begin to let the sit bones come up off the floor. And if not, use your hands. And then we're going to lift up into Ardha Ukitasana. So half power pose. And as you exhale, try to keep the belly toward the thighs as you reach the hands behind you and interlace the fingers, and slowly extend the legs any amount as you reach the arms away from the body. Deep breathe, let the head hang. And as we inhale, bend your knees and sweep the arms up, full power pose, Ukitasana. Deep breathe. Exhale, forward bend. Inhale, halfway up, Ardha Ukitasana. And as you exhale, ground the hands and step back into a plank position, taking the crease out of the hips. If you need to modify this morning or at any time, knees to the ground, and we're going to move the heart forward of the fingertips as we exhale and lower to the belly. Hands underneath the elbows, and then ground the top of the feet as you seal the heels together. Anchor the tailbone and engage Uddiyana Bandha at the low belly as you protect the low back and begin to lift up into a gentle cobra position. And deep breathe here, opening the heart center. As you exhale, bend your knees, flex the feet, reach back for the ankles if you can, or use a strap. Flex the feet, and we're going to press the feet right up toward the sky, opening the heart and chest a little bit more. And then inhale, lift the crown of the head toward the sky, and take a few breaths. Really starting to invigorate the heart. Exhale, keep the chest lifting. Bring the hands back to the floor as you release the legs back down into a cobra position, lengthening the back of the neck. Deep breathe here. And as you inhale, add the lift of the legs, moving into Shalambhasana, locust pose. See if you can lift your thigh bones up so much as if you could slide a piece of paper underneath your thighs. Keep engaging the core. And on an exhale, release the forehead and the tops of the feet back down to the earth. Let all the muscles soften momentarily. And then we're going to press ourselves away from the ground, coming up into plank. And then exhale back into Balasana, child's pose, keeping the arm, we'll extend the arms forward here. And deep breathe.
Let the forearms lift away from the earth so that we keep the proper alignment of our shoulders. And then notice if your heels are separating. If so, see if you can magnetize them toward each other so that the feet are elongating in a straight line from the middle of the second toe to the middle of the heel. And then as you exhale, slide the hands toward the knees on either side, emptying the lungs completely. And we're going to inhale and spinal roll up one vertebra at a time. And then bring the hands behind you. Sorry, I didn't position my camera very well. It's not far enough away from me. I might have to move it. Fingers pointing toward the body. And we're going to keep the knees together if you can. As you inhale, lift the hips and relax the head back, opening the front body and offering the heart to the heavens. Deep breathe as you lift from the tailbone. Drishti is toward the nose, nasagra drishti, so we don't furrow the brow. And as you exhale, slowly come down, walking the spine back to a neutral place and bring the hands to the knees. And as you exhale, round your back, rolling in, snugging the navel in. And as you inhale, slide the hands toward the hips, top of the thighs, as you arch back, moving the elbows toward each other. And then exhale and round. And move with your breath a couple times here. And again, notice if the heels slide away from one another. Try to bring those sit bones right over the heels. Imagining that you have a strap around the heels so that they don't arch out to the side. So we don't create a loose ankle, weak joints. Nice and strong here. One more time. And again, we inhale, come back to the center. We're going to come to a tall kneeling position. Bring the hands toward the sacrum. And we're going to point the fingers up to stretch out the wrists and draw the elbows toward each other. Now, see if you can use the hands at the sacrum to push the hips forward a little bit, keeping the thigh bones vertical, and then just separate the knees and feet so that they're about hip width apart. Give yourself some more space. And we're going to inhale and lengthen from the knee right up into the armpit. And as you exhale, keep that length as you begin to arch back any amount. Doesn't matter how deep you go. And then we're going to inhale and come up. Move with your breath as you exhale back. Inhale on up. Keep that belly nice and strong, Uddiyana Bandha. And again, we're going to exhale back this time and hold it as you breathe into it. We're going to lift the arms up and back as we interlace the fingers behind the base of the head. And then let the elbows lift and cradle the head so that you can feel a nice arch or curve in the cervical spine. Deep breathe here. Try not to hold your breath. Inhale, come all the way on up. And as we exhale, we're going to take our first downward facing dog position and stretch it all out. Ardha Ukitasana. Deep breathe, releasing the heels toward the earth any amount. Walk it out if you need to. Raising one heel as the opposite extends toward the ground, and then switching. Or you can remain static, your choice. Now we're going to inhale, Lift both heels up off the ground. See if you can come up on your tippy toes, maybe just on the big toe, really strengthening those toe joints. And then slowly release the heels down toward the ground as if you're putting tape on a piece of wrapping paper. And we're going to keep the chin tucked toward the chest a little bit more as we lead with the back of the neck like a wave, moving forward into plank. Adjusting the feet if you need to. And then release the hips down toward the ground as you open the chest, moving the head of the arm bones back. And then exhale, downward facing dog. So we're going to do that 2 more times with your own breath. Keeping the leg bones nice and high off the ground. Try not to bend the knees. Keep pressing back through the heels as you move. One more time. Adjust your feet as you need to for balance and walk the feet in toward each other, narrowing your downward dog pose. We're going to inhale, lift that left leg up, keep the foot flexed, the toes point toward the ground, and really reach that leg up nice and high as if they were an extension of your spine. Then we're going to bend the knee and open the hip. See if you can reach the knee up toward the sky a little bit more. And then if you want to flip your dog, come into wild thing by reaching that right foot behind you. That left leg is extended. And we're going to inhale as we reach through that right arm. As you exhale, flip back toward downward facing dog, but draw the knee in toward the nose. And then exhale, release that right foot toward the earth. We're going to do the same thing the second side. Walking the feet toward each other, finding our balance and finding our center. Take your time. You don't have to be on my breath, but on an inhale, lift that right leg up, press through the heel. As the toes point toward the ground, we maintain balance in the hips here. So see if you can feel that. Then we're going to bend the knee and open the hip as you lift that left knee up toward the sky without shifting in your shoulders. So try to keep the shoulders equal distance from the earth. And either stay here or bring that left foot to the floor behind you and inhale as you extend through your left arm. Deep breathe. As we flip back toward our dog, the left hand comes to the floor, left knee toward the nose, and then exhale, release the foot to the floor and step the feet hip distance apart. Inhale, look forward and step the right foot forward, coming into a lunge position here. Keeping that back heel high. Move the ball of the foot back so the base of the foot is vertical as if it's leaning against a wall. And we're going to find our balance here in a variation of warrior one. Lifting the arms vertically up. Relax your shoulders, relax in, deep breathe. See if you can lunge a little bit more without bending that back knee. And as we exhale, left hand or fingertips to the earth as you twist the spine, looking up toward the right hand. We're going to open the chest a little bit more by turning that right palm toward the back body and reaching that arm around the waist. And deep breathe.
As you exhale, unwind. Right hand comes to the ground, as does the left knee. And then we're going to shift the hips back as the right toes lift. So keep the left thigh bone vertical, and then walk the hands forward any amount without letting the shoulders move toward the ears as you bow forward toward your right leg. But be gentle, don't overstretch the hamstring. Engage the quadriceps so that the hamstrings aren't doing all the work. Inhale back into a gentle lunge here, keeping the back knee toward the ground. And then begin to open the chest as you bring the hands to the knee. And see if you can open that left quad by pointing the left toes up toward the sky. And reach back for your left foot if you can, and see if you can move the heel toward the outer hip to get a deep stretch in the quad. And if that feels like it's too much for you, just keep the toes pointing either up toward the sky or just stay in this lunge position here. So again, no forcing. Being very peaceful in your body. And then on the exhale, slowly unwinding as you make your way back to downward facing dog. Deep breathe. And then we're going to do the same thing on the second side. So as you look forward between the hands, we're going to inhale the right foot forward. Oh, sorry, left foot forward. Right knee comes down. And then begin to shift your hips back. Sit bones moving straight back behind you, toes lift, walking the fingertips forward a little bit as you bow in toward the leg. And just notice the difference between one side and the other. And we're going to inhale, come up, open the chest. Lift that back knee up off the earth. Find your balance here. And we're going to inhale into a variation of warrior on the second side. Thinking of this as an up and down pose. Working to find strength in the legs as you bring that left thigh bone parallel to the earth. And really seeing if you can power out through that right heel to keep the bend out of the knee. And drawing the low belly in simultaneously to keep the back strengthened, the core strong. And as we exhale, right hand to the ground as we twist. Deep breathe. Turning the left palm toward the back and wrapping that arm around the waist, and feel how that opens the chest a little bit more. Now try not to collapse into that right shoulder. See if you can keep pressing into the earth to find extension from that rooted action. Maybe lunging a little bit more. And as you exhale, unwind, bring the left hand and the right knee down to the ground. And again, shifting back into a runner's lunge. Check out that thigh bone, keep it vertical, and be mindful of your breath, of your muscular alignment, the physical alignment through the long bones of the body. So if you could shrink wrap the muscles around the joints and the bones for stability. And we're going to inhale, coming up into a lunge, adjusting the foot if you need to, maybe walking that back knee back a little bit more. and then hands to the knee as you press the spine toward a vertical position, sinking into the legs. Now either staying here or bending that right knee, reaching back with that right hand if you can do that, and then moving the heel toward the glute, toward the outer hip. Deep breathe as you try to face forward so that the shoulder girdle is parallel to the front edge of the mat. And as you exhale, tucking those toes under, hands to the ground, and stepping back into downward facing dog. Deep Ujjayi breath. Keep the chin tucked toward the chest a little bit more, as if you could lead with the back of your neck again. And we're going to inhale forward into plank, pressing the earth away as the neck extends. And this time we're going to exhale and lower in chaturanga. Bring the knees to the ground if you need that extra support, but trying not to let those shoulders drop below the elbows. And then bring everything down to the ground. Walk the hands out a little bit wider. Lift the heels of the hands up off the floor. Stretch the fingers. Widen your hands off your yoga mat. And we're going to inhale as we open the hood of the cobra. And then exhale. Slowly let the forehead touch the earth. Inhale. Lengthen up into the curve. And move with your own breath, like a wave. Be mindful of the feet and the ankles. Really engage. Keep your core strong. And move gently. One more time. Hold here, deep breathe. Try to take any compression out of the body. And as you exhale, again, lengthen toward the ground. Place one hand over the other and rest the brow on the hands and let the whole body relax for a few breaths. Noticing the rhythm of your heart in relation to the rhythm of your breath. As the heart pumps harder, try to keep the breath steady. Deep breathe, invoking a deep sense of peace within every cell of the body. As if the cells could illuminate with that peaceful, joyous feeling. And then we're going to roll over toward the right side of the body. If you're just laying down on the floor, supporting your head with your right hand and looking down the body and flexing the feet, and try to imagine that your body is in one line, as if you're leaning right up against a wall. If you need balance or support, bring the left fingertips to the ground. And we're going to inhale and lift that left leg up just about midway from your full range. And then see if you can lift it a little bit higher and release the hand from the ground if you can, without using that kickstand. As you inhale, draw the knee in. See if you can reach for the ankle or the outer calf, or maybe even the outer edge of the foot And see if you can stand your foot right up on the ceiling. Working on your balance here, trying not to lean from one side or the other, but really using your core strength here. Keep elongating through the inseams of the leg from the groin to the arch. And this is known as a resting Krishna pose. Now we're going to release that leg. Let the arm extend up toward the sky as you slowly bring that leg back to that halfway point. Extending out through the arch side of the feet. And then as you exhale, release that leg to the ground. Bring the left hand to the floor. Roll toward the belly. Bend your knees. Flex your ankles and reach back for them with the hands, moving into Dhanurasana as we lift the four corners of the feet and the crown of the head up toward the sky. Notice if this feels a little bit more easy from the first time we did it. Maybe you have a little bit more range of motion. Maybe not, no big deal, we're just noticing. And then as you exhale, release. Place the opposite hands over one another as you rest the forehead on those hands, big toes together as they touch, and then let the heels drop away from one another, releasing any tension. And maybe just shimmying the hips from one side to the other to take out any rigidity, any tension. Just kind of shaking things up as you stimulate lymph a little bit. And then relax the body. Deep breathe. Coming back to your center. And then we're going to do the same thing on the second side. So you're going to roll over to your left side, using your hand to support the head. If you need the right fingertips to the ground as a kickstand for balance, use that. And then look down the body and make sure that you are in alignment as if you're just leaning your back body right up against a wall. And if this feels difficult for you, you can always practice this against the wall too. Now we're going to inhale and just lift that leg midway. If you don't need that kickstand, you can bring that right arm against the thigh. Deep breathe. Really engage your core here, and then see if you can lift your leg up a little bit higher. Keep lengthening from the inner groin through the inner heel so that the inner legs are as long as the outer and you're not sickling your ankles. And then as you inhale, we're going to draw the knee in to either reach for the calf, ankle, or the outer edge of the foot. And you're going to draw the knee forward toward the face a little bit, and then see if you can extend that leg and the arm as you work on maintaining your balance. And deep breathe here. Just breathing into your range of motion. Soft, smooth, gentle breaths. Lengthening through the tailbone. And then we're going to keep the arm raised as we just release that leg midway. Relax the shoulder. Keep extending the arm skyward as if the back of the hand were resting against the wall. Heel and the whole back body against the wall, even the back of the head. And then exhale, release. Bring the hands to the earth as you roll back toward the belly, placing one hand over the other as you rest your forehead. Let the whole body relax for 3 slow, deep breaths. And then we're going to lift the head away from the hands as we bend the knees. And again, flex your feet, reach back for your ankles, and move into Dhanurasana, lifting head and heels up toward the sky. See if you can lift your thigh bones up off the ground. Really pull those feet away from you to open the chest a little bit more. Deep breathe. And as you exhale, slowly release, switching one hand on top of the other as you return to the grace of the earth. Feeling that support. Big toes together so that they touch, heels drop away from one another, create a lot of space in the low back, and then just begin to shimmy the hips back and forth. Releasing any tension in the back. And then inhale, lift the head, hands underneath the elbows. And we're going to press back into child's pose to stretch out the back. And reach those arms forward, keeping the arm bones lifting away from the ground, really finding length from the sit bones to the fingertips. Deep breathe. Then from here, we're going to slide the hands toward the knees on either side of the knees. Bring the heels together if they were sickling apart. Exhale all the breath out. And as you inhale, we're going to spinal roll up one vertebra at a time. And just keep the chin tucked as you press into the hands, stretch the back body. And we're going to keep the chin tucked toward the chest as we dive the top of the head toward the earth as close to the knees as we can. And then inhale, lift your hips and roll toward the back of the head, any amount. Stretching the back of the neck. If you're going deeper, interlace the fingers behind you and raise the arms up overhead, away from the back, like rabbit ears. Stimulating crown chakra. And as we exhale, release down, rolling toward the brow as you relax the arms in traditional child's pose. Deep breathe here. Notice your breath. When you're ready, bring the fingertips to the floor by your knees. And we're going to just inhale and come up halfway up, not all the way up. We're going to move into Shorasasana Headstand. So bring your elbows to the floor and lift the hips as you walk your knees back, somewhat behind your hips, okay? You're going to open the heels of the hands. And you're going to bring the crown of the head to the earth as you cradle the back of your head with your hands. And even if you don't come all the way up, it's fine. We're just going to lift the knees up off the ground and begin to walk your feet toward your face any amount so that over time, not only are you strengthening and opening and lengthening your hamstrings, but we begin to find that vertical spine, or maybe even move the hips beyond the plumb line of the shoulders or the head so that you can be able to float those feet up. So try not to kick your feet up. Don't hurt yourself. No forcing. We're doing this in a very gentle, peaceful way. So if it's not happening, then don't force it. But deep breathe here.
We're going to hold this or whatever variation you're taking for just a few breaths, maybe 5 to 8 more breaths. See if you can take the crease out of the hips as you really find length, pressing into the forearms, almost as if you could lift the head right up off the floor. So even though it's called a headstand, it's really almost like a forearm balance. Keeping the breath regulated and decompressing the neck. So try not to just drop all your weight into the head, neck, and shoulders. A lot of strength in the forearms. Now, if you can move into a pike position, we're going to exhale, moving the hips beyond the plumb line, beyond the head, as you bring those legs parallel to the earth. And if not, do what you can, or if you need rest, rest in child's pose. If you're here, we're going to exhale and hover the toes over the floor a few inches from the earth. And then we're going to inhale and lift those legs all the way on up, back into a headstand. And exhale, slowly bring those feet down a few inches from the earth, almost touching. Inhale. One more time. Exhale, maybe find a pike position. And inhale back up. And then we're going to exhale and slowly bring those tippy toes to touch the earth. And we're going to walk the feet back, knees to the ground. And we're going to move back into a child's pose, resting the forehead to the ground. And just let the arms relax here in any position that feels most appropriate for you. Either traditional child's pose or any variation. And deep breathe, being mindful of the heels, really lengthening the top of the feet, extending out through the toes as you create space and mobility in the feet. Couple more breaths just to allow the blood to recirculate evenly through the body after pooling in the head. Returning to a sense of balance after turning ourselves upside down. And then we're going to just bring the hands by the knees again, exhaling all the breath out, and slowly inhale as we spinal roll all the way on up to a tall position. And then we're going to lean to one side and sweep the legs around in front of us. And we're going to press the heels forward in a little narrow V, maybe a little bit wider than your yoga mat. Sit up nice and tall, bring the hands behind you and see if you can move your pubic bone right down toward the ground. Open the chest. Close your eyes or relax the gaze down the bridge of the nose. And just breathing into this upright position after turning our world upside down. Now from here, we just want to try to hinge from the hips, not from the mid or upper back, just from the hips. And we're going to bring the hands to the legs. And you're going to begin to hinge forward any amount. So try not to let this happen or this or this. But see if you can grow long, like a tree growing out of the earth. Nice little ponderosa pine. And we're going to exhale and slowly extend forward any amount. Doesn't matter how deep you go.
We're breathing peacefully into a forward bend without any force. Stretching the long lines of the body. Two more breaths, slow and deep. And we're going to inhale, slowly coming up as we slide the hands by our sides to find our tallest spine. Keep pressing through the heels. And if you need to scoot forward toward the front of your mat, scoot forward. And we're going to spinal roll down one vertebra at a time. Laying down on the floor, drawing the legs together, and bringing the arms out by the sides in a T position. Palms can be up or down, it's your choice. Now try to move the legs simultaneously as you bring the knees in toward the chest. Just to stretch out the low back, maybe rolling from one side to another to massage the sacral bone and the sacroiliac joint. Or turning the knees in the direction of a clock. Giving yourself a gentle massage. And if you were turning the feet clockwise or the knees clockwise, move in the opposite direction. Just to release any tension in the back. Notice your breath. Come back to the rhythm if it's gotten away from you. And then we're going to keep the knees right over the hips as you raise the feet level with the knees, forming 90-degree angles in the body and creating that nice lumbar curve. So you should be able to fit your hand underneath the lower back. And then we're going to exhale and draw those knees toward that right elbow. And just relax the legs down. Try not to let the left shoulder lift. We're going to look over the right hand. I'm sorry, the left hand. Deep breathe here. And if you want to, you can bring that right hand to the outer left knee or thigh and just allow the body to peacefully rest on the earth as we allow the assistance of gravity to twist the spine like a spiral. And really breathing into the release of our back here. Returning the right hand down to the earth as an extension of the left. And as we inhale, we're going to breathe our legs back to those 90-degree angles. And as you exhale, take the knees over to the left, looking over your right hand and making any adjustment or shift so that the right shoulder remains resting on the earth. And perhaps we bring the left hand over the right leg just for a little bit of leverage. Maha Prana, deep breath. And then to unwind, ground the left hand, exhaling. And as we inhale, coming back to the center, 90-degree angle in the joints of the legs and hips. And then we're going to spread the knees wide apart and bring the knees toward the armpits as you move into happy baby. Keeping the neck nice and long and the shoulders grounded. And either reaching for the calves ankles or the outer edges of the feet, and breathing into the release of the back and into the opening of the hips. And then just giving yourself a little rock from one side to the other, nice and slow. Or you can remain static. And then releasing that as the feet come to the earth. And if you need to take another pose before we move into the final rest pose of Shavasana, allow yourself to take that as you give yourself what you need. Otherwise, just begin to relax your body, separating the feet and the arms away from the hips. Palms turning upward and just relaxing your breath into its own rhythm as you relinquish all physical control over the body. Coming to full stop in this position of surrender. Breathing in peace and exhaling out any negative feelings, emotions, or thoughts. Immersing yourself in an ocean of peace, as if your body were floating on the sea. Feeling those wave-like ripples of the breath move through the body, cleansing and purifying yourself every breath you take. Allowing any and all thoughts to just float by your awareness as if you're just watching them float down a mountainside in a river. As you're ready, allow your breath to deepen a little bit as you begin to bring some gentle movement into the extremities. And then reaching the arms overhead as you bring your legs together. Left foot to the floor, rolling over to the right side in a fetal position and letting your head rest on the top arm. As the left one comes to the floor in front of you, and just begin to open your eyes. Slowly making your way on up to the comfort of your seat. Sitting up nice and tall. And bringing the hands to the heart center as you bow your head. As if we could energetically see that connection from our heart to our mind, unifying them together as one connective unit, as a vehicle for joy and peace for ourselves. Remembering your intention. And bring a sense of deep inner peace to your heart center, that inner sanctuary. And letting that radiate throughout the whole body, beyond the physical boundary, into your energetic body, your aura, so that as you move through your day today, everyone you meet will feel that they're being graced with a deep sense of peace in your presence. Namaste, friends. Om Asatoma Satgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityoma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Namaste, sweet friends. Thank you so much for being here.